Well, it's interesting that there are defections at the very top level of Greenpeace these days from people who object. This bit I understand. They object to the sort of factional behaviour of organisations like Greenpeace. They they perceive correctly that the model of activist engagement with climate change is an engagement based on division. It's an engagement based on the villains versus the virtuous, of whom they are the champions. It's not the whole story, but it's a significant part of the story, and that's a very significant part of why the climate change negotiations have, as it were, been helped to fail. They've generated a culture where the politics of blame has prevailed. So while the US didn't exactly handle it effectively in the early days, they understandably objected to being portrayed by these leading NGOs as the climate, literally were called climate criminals, the villains, and generating this culture of a vengeance around climate change, the need for reparations. I mean, they've generated a culture where the UNFCCC was seen as a sort of Versailles Treaty on climate change, where reparations would be paid by the guilty party indefinitely into the future for having committed the sins of the past. The point is, those people were never going to do that. The US was never going to pay reparations. And if anything, the Versailles Treaty teaches us that those kind of very extreme demands imposed on supposedly the vanquished, which they weren't, and the guilty, which they weren't necessarily either, gives direct rise to fascism. The Versailles Treaty created Hitler. It created the Second World War. We still suffer the scars of all of that. God knows, do we want to do that with climate change? I don't think so.